Welcome back to RetroWheelsVault, where horsepower never dies. If you're wondering why this video might sound a little different than before, no, your speakers aren't broken. We're giving this one a fresh coat of paint due to a little copyright hiccup on the original version. Same legendary muscle, just tuned up to keep everything running smooth on the content highway. Because hey, even classics need a second chance to roar. Now with that out of the way, strap in. Because today we're diving back into one of the most iconic muscle cars to ever hit American pavement, the 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. This isn't just a car. It's a chrome-plated freight train in a hurry, a thunderstorm on four wheels. It was a kind of ride that didn't just pass you on the road. It shook the ground beneath your feet and left a black streak on your memory. From its aggressive styling to its barn-burning big block options, the 70 Chevelle SS was a heavyweight in every sense of the word. Another classic is unlocked, another beast is revived, because modern cars forgot what muscle means. Let's fire it up, dig into the details, and bring the street legend back to life, louder and prouder than ever. Here's a fun slice on muscle car history that'll make you shake your head and mutter, classic GM. Back in the 1960s, General Motors had a corporate ban on putting any engine larger than 400 cubic inches into their mid-sized cars. Yep, while Ford was tossing 429s into Mustangs like they were candy, and Mopar was out there launching 426 Hemis into orbit, poor Chevy had to sit on the sidelines with their 396s, watching the competition peel away from every green light like it was a scene from the 1974 movie and the remake in 2000, Gone in 60 Seconds. To make matters worse, GM also told all its divisions to stay out of motorsports, which in muscle car terms is like handing your kid a rocket and telling them not to launch it. So, while the big boys were flexing at the track, Chevy was forced to play nice, at least for a while. But in 1970, the shackles finally came off. GM dropped the silly displacement rule, and Chevy wasted no time. They crammed a 454 cubic inch monster into the Chevy SS like stuffing a lion into a house cat costume. It wasn't just payback, it was pure unfiltered revenge in big block form. Alright, let's talk design and construction. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS wasn't built like your average cookie cutter compact. Nope. This was muscle car engineering at its finest, like a heavyweight boxer sculpted from steel and adrenaline. The Chevelle SS rode on GM's tried and true A-body platform, but don't let A-body fool you. It's more like Alpha Beast. The body itself was a perfect blend of aggressive angles and smooth curves, like a well-tailored suit with just enough edge to let you know this guy means business. Underneath that sleek sheet metal, the Chevelle's frame was rugged and stout. Think of it as the car's skeleton, built to handle all that raw power it was packing. The unibody construction helped keep the weight down without sacrificing strength, giving the car a solid backbone to launch from the line like a sprinter off the blocks. The cowl induction hood wasn't just for show, it was the car's secret weapon, like a knight's visor flipping up to reveal a fiery gaze. When it opened, cooler air rushed in, feeding the hungry big block engine beneath. Every line, every curve, and every bolt was a statement. This was muscle in its purest form, crafted for speed, sound, and style. Now let's talk about the heart of the beast, because the 1970 Chevelle SS didn't just purr, it growled like a lion with headers. Under the hood, you had a buffet of V8s to choose from, and none of them were ordering salad. At the entry level for most Chevelles, there was the 350 cubic inch small block V8, reliable street cruiser that got the job done without too much drama. Like the guy at the gym who's strong, but not trying to break records. But in 1970, the standard engine was the 402 cubic inch big block V8, marketed as the 396 to keep the name alive. It was a bit of a marketing smoke and mirrors, but the performance was real, a smooth bruiser that packed more punch than you'd expect. Then came the 454s, and this is where things got properly unhinged. The LS5 version gave you 360 horses and enough torque to tow your neighbor's house off its foundation. But the real maniac was the LS6, a 450 horsepower titan that made the asphalt nervous. It was basically a factory-built street brawler with a racing pedigree, roaring like a bear with a jetpack. The LS6 did not whisper muscle, it shouted it in capital letters. When it came to turning raw horsepower into forward motion, the 1970 Chevelle SS didn't mess around. It brought a toolbox full of transmission choices to suit every kind of driver, from weekend cruisers to quarter-mile warriors. This wasn't a car that whispered. It shouted through gears like a drill sergeant with a megaphone. First up, the 3-speed manual. Basic, rugged, and perfect if you liked your driving experience served with a side of elbow grease. But for those who wanted a little more control of the carnage, the Muncie M22 4-speed manual was the golden ticket. Whether you were slamming through gears on the strip or flexing down Main Street, this gearbox made you feel like part of the machine. Each shift a solid metallic handshake from the Chevelle itself. Not a fan of rolling your own gears? No problem. The Turbo Hydromatic 3-speed automatic was ready to do the dirty work for you. Smooth, reliable, and still packing enough punch to throw you back in your seat when you floored it. Whatever your style, manual grit or automatic ease, the Chevelle SS made sure the journey between point A and point burnout was a thrilling one. This wasn't just about driving, it was about domination. Beneath all that roaring power and sleek sheet metal, the 1970 Chevelle SS had a chassis and suspension setup that was more than just along for the ride. It was a foundation that made the Fury functional. Think of it as the steel spine of a heavyweight prizefighter, strong, balanced, and ready to take a hit without flinching. Built on GM's 8-body platform, the Chevelle SS had a full perimeter frame, giving it rigidity and strength like a concrete foundation under a drag strip temple. Up front, it ran with the independent coil spring suspension, which helped tame the nose when diving into corners or under heavy acceleration, because nothing ruins a muscle car swagger than nose diving into the curb. Out back, 4-link rear suspension with coil springs kept the rear tires planted when you dropped the hammer. It wasn't fancy or sophisticated like a European sports car, but it worked. Kind of like using a sledgehammer to hang a picture. Overkill? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. Pair that with the front and rear anti-roll bars and heavy-duty shocks, and you had a suspension system that could muscle its way through a corner without feeling like a boat in a hurricane. It rode rough, but it rode real. Step inside the 1970s Chevelle SS and you're not entering a luxury lounge. You're more climbing into the cockpit of a street fighting machine. The interior was bold, basic, and all business. It wasn't trying to win design awards. It was too busy planning its next quarter-mile assault. Think vinyl bucket seats, a no-nonsense dashboard, and just enough tech to remind you that yes, electricity existed in 1970. The SS trim added some flair, like round gauges nestled in a machine-turned cluster, making the driver feel like they were behind the controls of a low-flying missile. The U14 gauge package gave you real-time data on oil pressure, amps, and engine temperature, because nothing says performance like keeping an eye on your lifeblood while flying down the highway. Comfort? Sure, if your idea of comfort is thick steering wheels, chrome accents, and seats that hug you like a linebacker. Air conditioning, AM/FM radios, and even 8-track players were available, but let's be honest, the best soundtrack was the big block rumbling under the hood. It wasn't plush, it wasn't posh, but the Chevelle SS interior made you feel connected to the machine, like you were part of the drivetrain, and that's exactly how muscles should feel. Now let's talk about the unsung hero of the muscle car world, the differential. It may not get the same love as a thundering V8 or a chrome bumper, but without it, your Chevelle SS would be doing one-tire fires and turning like a shopping cart with a jammed wheel. Enter the Posi-Traction limited slip differential. Chevy's way of saying, let's make sure both rear tires get in on the action. When you dropped the hammer, Posi-Traction kept things planted, distributing power evenly so the car didn't just spin in place like a caffeinated figure skater. Whether you were straight lining it down the strip or powering out of a corner, Posi-Traction was your best friend. Quiet, loyal, and always ready to make sure your rubber met the road. This beast also came with heavy-duty axles, beefier drive shaft components, and reinforced rear ends to handle all that monstrous torque without snapping like a toothpick under pressure. It's like putting combat boots on a sprinter. Built to last, built to grip. Add in power steering and power brakes, optional but very welcomed, and you had the machine that wasn't just fast, but usable. Because muscle means nothing if you can't keep it pointed straight and stop it before next Tuesday. The 1970s Chevelle SS wasn't exactly what you'd call compact. This car took up space the way a lion claimed its territory, boldly and without apology. At 197 inches long and 76 inches wide, it had the kind of footprint that made parallel parking feel more like docking a yacht. And with a wheelbase of 112 inches, it stretched out like it had nothing to prove. Because let's be honest, it didn't. Standing just 52.8 inches tall, the Chevelle SS had a low-slung stance that looked fast even when it was parked. It crouched like a predator ready to pounce, muscular, poised, and more than a little intimidating. The long hood and short rear deck gave it that classic American silhouette and said, "I'm fast, loud, and not here for small talk." Weighing in at 3,730 pounds, this wasn't some featherweight track toy. It was a street brawler wrapped in steel. But thanks to all that torque and grip, it carried its weight like a linebacker in a sprint. The Chevelle SS was big, brash, and beautifully balanced. It took up space with confidence and carved out a legacy one burnout at a time. If size mattered, the Chevelle didn't just qualify, it dominated. The 1970 Chevelle SS came to the table like a barroom brawler in a tailored suit. Strength wrapped in style and plenty of both. Let's start with the strengths. Power, and lots of it. With engine options like the LS6 454, this car could embarrass just about anything else on the road in its day. The aggressive styling, functional cowl, induction hood, and intimidating road presence made it as much a statement as it was a vehicle. It didn't whisper muscle, it shattered it through quad exhaust and tire smoke. Handling? Better than you'd think for something that weighed nearly 2 tons. The suspension and Posi-Traction made sure the power wasn't just burning rubber in vain. It also had room for 4, so you could bring friends along while ruining rear tires. That's practicality. Sort of. Now the weaknesses. First, fuel economy was a cruel joke, measured in gallons per mile, not the other way around. And while the Chevelle SS could go fast in a straight line, corners weren't exactly its favorite dance partner. The brakes, even when upgraded, were more suggestions than commands at high speeds. Still, for all its rough edges, the Chevelle SS was pure, unapologetic muscle, a glorious gas-guzzling time machine. And there you have it, the 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS, revisited, reloaded, and revving harder than ever. We had to dodge a little copyright curveball this time around, but just like the Chevelle itself, we don't back down. We downshift, punch it, and come back louder. This redo gave us the perfect excuse to take another joyride through one of the most iconic machines ever to roll out of Detroit. From its menacing looks to its monstrous LS6 heartbeat, the Chevelle SS didn't just define muscle, it redefined what it meant to rule the road. So now we ask you, was the 1970 Chevelle SS the ultimate muscle car, or is there another legend you think wore the crown better? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your picks, your stories, and which beast you'd want in your dream garage. And if you enjoyed this trip back in time, revamped and ready to roll, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another classic reborn. And as always, keep it loud, keep it classic.